In fact, note that more than 1,000 lives have been lost and 1 million people have been displaced as a result of ongoing strikes by the Israeli forces in Lebanon region. Let's quickly give you an overall picture that encapsulates what's exactly happened in Lebanon in past week. First, it was pager explosions which happened, which claimed at least 32 lives. Now, just to give you a brief synopsis of what pager explosions are, these are wireless communication devices which have long been used by the Hezbollah group to evade that surveillance being carried out by the Israeli forces. So these pager explosions which happened, in which there were explosives that were essentially planted in these pagers which blasted, and they were in fact hacked by the Israeli forces from Israel. What followed next was walkie-talkie explosions, similar to what happened with respect to pager blasts. These walkie-talkies exploded after there were explosives that were planted in walkie-talkies, which have long been used by the Hezbollah group. At least 20 dead, 450 injured. In fact, overall, more than 3,000 people having been injured, which includes not just the Hezbollah leaders, but even Lebanon people, the innocent lives that have been lost. What followed next was, of course, 85 bunker-busting bombs which blasted, targeting Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in one of the bunker-busting bomb, which the strike that was essentially carried out by the Israeli forces in southern suburbs of Lebanon region, southern suburbs, particularly in Beirut city. In fact, now, in an advanced step, the Israeli forces now carrying out targeted ground incursion. It's an ongoing operation, of course. But that being said, it is a significant advancement given that the Israeli forces have made it amply clear that they will not stop until there is an assurance that comes in from the Hezbollah camp that they will ensure that the displaced Israeli people are made to return along the northern Israeli side. So yes, that's the overall picture. Let's now tell you about IDF's Operation Northern Arrows. So yes, this is Operation Northern Arrows, in which more than 50 lives have been lost when it comes to those Hezbollah leaders and civilians who've been 1,000 in total, but lately at least 50 lives that have been lost. In fact, this is the map which gives you a clear picture of what has happened since the 1990s. This is the Litani River, which lies along the northern Lebanon side and the Israeli side. So yes, this is Lebanon, this is Israel, and that is Syria. And that being said, this is the buffer zone which was to ensure that there is demilitarization both by the Israeli forces and Lebanon side, which did not essentially happen. This relates to the 2006 UNSC resolution, which was signed to ensure that there is cessation when it comes to the hostilities by both the sides, which did not happen. In fact, the caretaker Prime Minister of Lebanon, who's now said that the country is willing to deploy Lebanese army and the United Nations interim force in this buffer region to ensure that the Hezbollah camp does not cross over and reach, cross the river and reach the northern Lebanon side. So this is the map which gives you an overall picture. This is the buffer zone which was supposed to be demilitarized, which did not happen. This is Israel. And that is Lebanon, and that is Syria. Of course, all the aid that's coming into Lebanon from Israel, from Iran and Syria as well. So this is the overall picture. Let's also now run you through the resolution, the 2006 resolution that was aimed to ensure that there is demilitarization. The first being full cessation of hostilities by combatants, which is, of course, the Hezbollah group and the Israeli forces, which did not happen. There's also been an advancement, particularly in the last 2 weeks. Let's take a look at the other highlight of this UNSC resolution, which was inked in 2006, which was to ensure that there is full Israeli troop withdrawal from the Lebanese territory. This also did not happen, given that the Israeli forces crossed over and were deployed along the southern Lebanon region, which is precisely what is happening right now. Let's take a look at the other highlight of this UNSC resolution, which mentions that Hezbollah's withdrawal north of Litani River. This again did not happen. Now a confirmation statement that's coming from the Lebanon caretaker Prime Minister, who says that he's willing to deploy the Lebanese army as well as the UN forces in that buffer zone, which was to ensure that there is secession between the two groups. So Hezbollah's withdrawal from north of Litani River, which could happen if there is a secession that is agreed upon by the two camps. deployment of UN and Lebanese army troops to maintain peace in the region. In fact, this is particularly what we've been mentioning, the 2006 resolution that was in to ensure that there is deployment of the UN interim force, which is the UNIF, and Lebanese army to maintain peace in that buffer zone. So yes, the Israeli forces remain firm in their resolve that they will not stop until there is a facilitation of the safe route that should be given for those people from Israel who have been displaced. So Litani River would act as a buffer zone between Hezbollah and the Israeli forces. In fact, let's once again put out that map which shows how the buffer zone is not the buffer zone anymore. Ever since that 2000 resolution was agreed upon, this is the Mediterranean Sea, this is Israel, this is Lebanon, and this is the buffer zone. In fact, this is the river which was supposed to be the point where the Israeli forces were not supposed to cross, and the Lebanon side also was not supposed to be to cross, given that this was the buffer zone that was supposed to be demilitarized. The caretaker PM now says that it is willing, the country is now willing to deploy Lebanese army as well as the UN forces to ensure that there is a step back from both the sides.